we've been forced to sort of slow down, and that's sort of, oh my gosh, everybody's almost tired of hearing that at this point. But I think there's a very unique way that that's affected our business. And one of those is that we've focused way more on getting the most out of what we're doing. And that's resulted in finishing some passion projects or making some significant progress on some passion projects, or like the restaurant one, for example, getting out and getting it done in lightning speed because we filmed all the content for that in one day before the lockdown even happened. And just focusing on maximizing the resources. That's actually bled over quite a bit into our paid work because, everything that was sort of quick and dirty just stopped dead in its tracks. You can't just go and shoot something at, like, for example, and I should say this is quick and dirty, but this is an example of one of the projects that just stopped dead in its tracks. We were doing a lot of work for the Hamilton East Public Library, and the library is closed, but even when the library opens back up again, it's not going to be like it was for a long time. And so certain things we just had to stop. But there were all these projects that we've been doing for a year or years that, we have a mountain of content that in some ways gets underutilized because we're always focused on like, what's next. And people forget, oh, holy crap, we actually have 3 years worth of stuff that we've neglected and not really done anything with. So that's been a huge resource. We've been able to put together content for folks. We're working on a 30-minute piece for the Indiana Blind Children's Foundation. We did a 10-minute sort of snippet about a project the Indiana Blind Children's Foundation did with the Idlejoy Museum. And they were just one of 6 organizations that they worked with. And we were in the process of documenting each one. And we realized that we had all this content just sitting there. We could put together a 30-minute documentary. We started talking with different folks. We were able to submit that 30-minute piece for Heartland's Shorts Film Festival. WFYI is interested in broadcasting that piece in July. We're just really proud of it and excited about it. I don't know that we would have even done it had we not been forced to stop doing all the new stuff and focus on just what we already have. So that's been huge for us. The new business has been harder to get, as I'm sure everyone is experiencing. If you do corporate and nonprofit work, it's not been as hard as we thought it might be, thankfully. But we've just been thinking more creatively. The Indiana Humanities piece that you mentioned, just to talk a little bit about the behind the scenes of that, I basically emailed my friends at Indiana Humanities and said, hey, what are you all doing? And is there anything that we can help you with right now as you think about reinventing some of what you're doing? And I think that's just a really nice way to reach out to people and look for opportunities, not necessarily expecting it to go anywhere, but then at the same time, not being surprised if it does, because an hour-long Zoom call like this was an opportunity for us to just brainstorm a bunch of really interesting ideas. And then one of them took off because they needed to reinvent an event that they couldn't have. They can't bring people together, so they needed an opportunity to bring that content to people. And that's what we created for them just from that phone call or email. So it's been exciting. That's enough for me for a moment, I guess.
Yeah, so you guys have just been taking this time to maybe, one, finish up projects, but also just do creative projects that you still can accomplish to then potentially give you future work and just kind of keep busy, get your name out there, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for us, we really try. Everybody has the balance, right? I don't know that I've ever met anybody in this industry who doesn't have the balance constantly of, projects that feed the soul and projects that feed the belly, and so we try really, really hard to constantly be finding those projects that feed both. And we've been fortunate enough to have a lot of those, but I think, yeah, when you reach out to people and you ask people if you can do something good, it's like you mentioned in the beginning, people in Indianapolis do good work, and they do good work with good purpose and good intent. And when you do that, it gets recognized, and then opportunities find you to do more. And I think that's what we've always been about. want to do bad work just to do work. I don't even want to do good work for kind of a bad message. That's maybe even worse. So, yeah.
I guess just two last questions before I turn over to Kaitlyn for a little bit. One, I guess, I know when you guys did the restaurant piece on kind of the current how the pandemic has affected their industry, which has been hit very hard. How was that production like? I know it was early on, so you guys probably shot it social distancing wise. Like, how'd that go? And then my next question is, because how are you guys predicting, because you guys are doing these passion projects that's not bringing in income, what does it look like? Are you guys forecasting in the future for your employees? Like, what are you guys looking for the future? So yeah, so one, how'd that production look? And then two, what are you guys kind of doing as a company without the new business coming in to prepare?
The production for that, that's a pretty short answer. I mean, it looked just as you would imagine. It was pretty early when we did that. They had just gotten the news that they had to start going to takeout only. And nobody else was at, on stay-at-home orders yet. And so social distancing, obviously, we cut down our team significantly. There was only 2 people there to film that. And then they had very limited people there in their restaurants, if anybody, other than the person you saw on camera. So keeping your distance, making sure, just to sort of switch gears from what we were doing to just general practice, I think it's really important for everybody to be considering others. Your comfort is one thing, and that's great, but think about the people around you way more than yourself, and think about protecting them. Think about what their comfort level is, and make sure that you're way ahead of that curve. I would hope that none of us would show up to a video shoot, just the Lone Ranger that just doesn't care. Well, Lone Ranger, does he wear a mask? No, that's Zorro. I think, we have to just be really careful with that stuff. And as much as we want to work, we need to do it intelligently, and we need to do it with respect to people's health around us. So we've done, other than that restaurant shoot, which was very early, we've done very, very few video shoots, period. The one we did for Indiana Humanities was, 2 people going out separately and filming in a forest alone. They were literally the only 2 people there, and their social distancing was not difficult in that case. So our business, gosh, I could get really down into the weeds with that, because I'm out of the production realm a lot, and that's kind of my day to day is the numbers and the business. And without getting too far down into the weeds, unless you want to go there later, we do have to be careful to say that, we're focusing on passion projects that don't pay exclusively, because fortunately we've built relationships with, organizations that we would consider a lot of our projects passion projects, but they're still funded. We have grant funded organizations that hire us to produce these films. So we still have money coming in from some of that. But I will say that I made the commitment a while back that we weren't going to lay anybody off during this time period. We were only going to do pay cuts if we absolutely had to. So I spent the first 3 or 4 weeks, as you might imagine, looking into the various opportunities that were afforded to us. The city of Noblesville, where we're based, where I am at the moment, is they gave out $250,000 in grants. We received $5,000 from our city, which was fantastic. We received $9,000 because we have 9 employees from the Economic Injury Disaster Relief loan, which isn't a loan until you actually make it a loan. That was a grant for us. And then we received our PPP as well. So, you're hearing a lot of things about that. I will tell people until the day I die that we went through that process like a breeze, because I think 2 reasons. One, we keep very, very careful records of everything that we do. My wife is our accounting manager, and she's exceptional. I can pull payroll records. I can pull tax documents. I can pull a P&L or a balance sheet like that. And we have a small bank that was quick to serve us in ways that I think larger banks were not. And so that's a big part of our planning for the future. As far as finding new revenue, right now we're looking toward people who are planners, people who know they're going to want to do something in August or September, but they know that if we can start filming in August or September, nobody knows for sure, but if we could be filming in August or September, then let's be thinking about projects we can do development and pre-production for now, because we can do that from our homes. And
Yeah.
so, rather than, hey, we want to start a new project and it's August and we can film, oh, but we have 2 months of pre-pro to do. So
Yeah.
we're looking for those kinds of folks.
Got it. Yeah. I know in 2008, a lot of people some peers graduated around then, 2010, when the economy was in a recession. And it was kind of a rough go in the beginning, like around that time, because video was a luxury when it came to marketing. I think we do have a big advantage as filmmakers now, where video is now a necessity. Over the past that decade, videos, Instagram wasn't a thing then. Now it is. The Zoom calls, so people expect it. So we do have a good leverage there when it comes to talking to your clients, because they need video. And so I think using that as much as possible when talking to new clients, figuring out how to be creative. But yeah, so
yeah, absolutely.
Well, cool. Well, thanks, Rocky. I know we're not probably done, but we'll turn it over. Next up, I want to talk to Katelyn Calhoun of Teardrop Pictures. Katelyn's a freelancer filmmaker. I've known her for a while, and so she has also had to pivot on a couple, like at least one screening of hers. But Katelyn, yeah, just introduce yourself. Who are you? How has the pandemic affected you? And then what does your kind of future look like in this current landscape?
Sure. Yeah. Future-wise, that's the one question that you kind of included in the email that I'm not. We'll see as I talk. Maybe the answer will come out. But so I'm a documentary filmmaker and commercial editor, and so a lot of my income is based on commercial editing, and I work for a lot of different marketing folks. Or in fact, I recognize a lot of you on this call. I edit a lot of overflow work. So like when somebody is like, oh gosh, our in-house editors can't necessarily handle this work, that, it's then they're like, hey, Kaitlyn, you free? And I'm like, it. So there's a lot of, those calls are obviously not happening right now because people have their in-house folks and they're trying to keep that, just like Rocky was kind of talking about, making sure that everybody on staff is good to go. And recently I've started upping the documentary side of my work. So it's kind of good timing in that sense, where I'm in the middle of, I'm deep in pre-production on my next thing. But last summer I produced a film alongside with the Indiana Forest Alliance called Snagging the Plan, about the bat population in the Hoosier National Forest. And we did have one showing down in Bloomington that was late January. And the second one was supposed to take place March 22nd, which was like 2 weeks, a week after everybody was like, hey, stay home. So the Forest Alliance, they called it off pretty early because their following is honestly 50 plus is most of their membership. And so they just did not want to take that risk, because that was the big thing earlier on. So we kind of started having those conversations, like, what could this look like? How do we still share this with their audience, with my audience? Because we still wanted to reach those people. And it's a big fundraiser for the Forest Alliance. They're a nonprofit and one that doesn't have a huge grant that comes in like annually kind of thing. So they rely a lot on donations. But the idea for us to do our online showing as like a small little fundraiser and do like almost a virtual premiere where it was like a Q&A with the behind the scenes side of it came from actually Indiana Humanities was showing, they have a film program. And so they've been, 2018, they handed out grants to do alongside of the Indiana Campfires program. And so they had 3 filmmakers make films. I was a part of that. So we had showings online, and this was like probably early April-ish. And so that kind of triggered the Forest Alliance to be like, okay, well, maybe we can do something like that. So we got on a call actually with CanCan, because they were doing a lot of virtual stuff, and the Indiana Humanities and Forest Alliance and myself, and kind of just chatted it all up. And when it came out, it wasn't like we had hundreds of people on, but we got to show it. You know, my parents in Ohio were like watching, and people who were out of state who weren't going to be able to make that showing anyways were able to come. And then also the Force Alliance raised a little bit of money from it. So something like that, unexpected, but definitely like a positive side. And then in addition to that, like just a lot of online partnership building, trying to pivot into building relationships through the internet, because I'm very much an in-person, like I love feeling the energy of being across the table with a cup of coffee with people. So yeah, so that's kind of, I guess, where I'm at with things.
Yeah, I guess like technically speaking, for the others listening that are filmmakers, so technically speaking, you guys get released a Facebook Live premiere event. Is that correct?
Yes.
With your film?
Yes.
And so,
yeah, sorry.
I guess, I mean, just so people know, I mean, just you guys uploaded to Facebook and just made it a premiere. And so then people could chat alongside of it. And then did you guys stay on Facebook for the Q&A? How'd that work?
It was kind of like as it was going on. So we did Facebook Live and YouTube, because not everybody, especially in the Force Alliance's audience, has Facebook or and we wanted it to host for a while because, again, a lot of folks have, you know, shoddy internet too. So we had it where we released it on a Wednesday night and had it up for a week, so that if they couldn't attend, you know, at 7 p.m. that Wednesday, it was still available to watch for a week. With that being said, you know, it is submitted for a few Indiana film festivals, you know, whether or not those are going to happen with everything is up in the air. But we didn't want to like have it hosted online continuously and then not have like the, I guess the, what's the word for like that fresh factor of seeing it in the theater too. So we only had it up for a week, but we did, it was almost a premiere of sorts.
I guess, and then just to pivot to your freelance editing, since you're kind of by yourself, which is exciting because you're nimble in this time, but also scary because you don't have this safety net umbrella. Have your clients or have they been creative at all when it comes to like footage or sending you stuff to edit that's, you know, kind of, I don't know, already there, people shooting on iPhone? Have you seen anything change, I guess, so far in the editing world?
Sure. Well, I know some of my clients, they simultaneously do, you know, the spot commercial work, but then they also do like podcasts for some of their corporate clients. And so I think that that's been something that people have really been able to kind of capitalize on, still using media. There's a few opportunities out there for, you know, documentary filmmaking or editors in general, where it's like, hey, we want proposals, we want creativity, we want to know how can we take what we're doing and like staying home and still get that content that people do crave on the internet. Because one, everybody's home, so they, you know, they're consuming for sure. And two, storytelling is still storytelling, you know? So how do we create that information and put it into a story and, or not create that, but, you know, gather that information and then put it into a way that's exciting and consumable for people. One of my clients is a women's leadership conference. And so they did get their spring conference in right before all this happened. So I was editing for them doing that, but we were having conversations like, is their fall conference going to be, you know, the 500, 800 people that it was? And how do we, you know, plan for making it a virtual / you know, small group in-person event for them. So definitely we'll be like kind of planning that out, seeing what that looks like. You know, as a partner with them, they want to like find a way for us to be incorporated instead of just making promo videos. How are we going to make this like, you know, a collaboration and utilize the video skills to be virtual.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
If you guys have any questions for Katelyn, Rocky, or anybody, just type them in the chat. But up next, we'll be talking to director Jake Huber. Jake, can you hear me?
Going.
Hey, man, how's it going?
Yeah,
So Jake is a awesome music video director in town. He's worked a lot with reality TV also. And congratulations, you were nominated for a couple Emmys, right? For your music in transit piece.
Yeah,
if you guys haven't checked it out, Jake directed it awesome with the collaboration with the Red Line. They had local bands perform in Red Line buses, and he filmed them with a lot of other local filmmakers. And that was really cool. But I guess, how has your world looked with what the pandemic's been doing? And also, I guess, just, introduce yourself. What have you worked on? And then what does your world look like recently?
I'm Jake Huber. I am a camera operator for reality TV shows. I work on the show Good Bones here in town in the Fountain Square area. Currently, production's down, so I've been at home, just doing pretty much like working on pre-production treatments and one-man banding a lot of things. So currently, I'm working with the Indiana Independent Venue Alliance, and I'm shooting little story pieces on about 20 venues throughout Indiana. That's going to be cut together in like a 2-hour special to help fundraise just funds to keep like all these venues, employers fed during these hard times, and really just tell the story of all these places, because a lot of these venues are they have like between 15 to 50 employees. So a lot of these places have slimmed down to like 3 to 4 people. So it's been really hard, especially in the music community here. So that's kind of where I've been at.
Mm-hmm. So how's that production been? Are they submitting videos to you to work on, or are you actually going like very small skeleton crews and shooting?
Some have been self-shot, and then a lot of the bigger venues, I'm going in and I'm doing just one-man band stuff, doing the safe social distancing stuff, having people love themselves, staying far away. It's been a challenge for sure, but fun nonetheless. So
yeah, we're in this tough time where we're supposed to be, social distancing, but also there is a story to be told, because this is like one of the most unique things that our whole generation has ever experienced, or probably will ever experience. So like documenting some of it is going to be very important. So navigating that like middle ground of telling those stories, but then also social distancing. So I guess another reason why I brought you on, did I see on Facebook that you attempted a social distance music video, and you kind of researched pre-production? Walk me through how that went, because you posted about it and I thought that was hilarious. But
so we began shooting for an artist in town. We're trying to like come up with something that hasn't been done yet, but a lot of people are blowing my mind with what they're doing in the music video realm. And so we began the process of doing something, and we were going to collaborate with Nuvo magazine, and sadly Nuvo shut down. So we still want to finish it, but right now I'm just with this shooting all these music venue owners right now, just because I have a lot of things on my plate currently.
Yeah.
But it's fun nonetheless. I mean, I hope that it gets to the point where we're hearing that mid-August is when like TV shows will come back up and running. So we still got a lot of time on our hands. So Good
Bones is planning to restart come August.
No. I'm just hearing from like a lot of my colleagues that are working on different things that either saying like end of July, beginning of August. But as far as Good Bones goes, we're such a small, close-knit crew that if one of us gets sick, we're all going down, because we're together, over 12 hours a day, constantly shooting. We're around a bunch of people all the time. But hopefully we're back up and running and this calms down,
Yeah. And so, you're just you're kind of like the rest of us, just kind of waiting to see how this all goes before. Doing as much as you can right now with an unforeseeable future.
I know. Yeah. It's scary.
I guess there is a couple questions submitted this is like for all three of you guys or anyone else who wants to chime in, but like one of the biggest ones I thought was very good is someone asked, in this time of uncertainty and with film festivals being, Indie Film Fest moved their dates, but is it still worth to submit film festivals? Is that where you're going to get the most audience? Like, what do you guys have any idea? I know you guys have all had experience with that. What would you kind of advice would you give to someone who's thinking about where I produce something, I'm proud of it. Do I hold on to it? Do I release it online? Do I send it to a film festival? What do I do to navigate this, in this time?
I guess I've been seeing all these, like Katelyn said, virtual premieres, especially on YouTube and Facebook. I think that's going to morph into something that we're going to become more familiar with. So I don't know if film festivals are just going to be online, doing it the same way where you pay to, virtually enter. But I kind of have a hunch that that's where it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I'm a big believer of sharing your work and putting it out there. And if there's a film festival that you have been interested in, submitting to for years, and, now's the time. We don't have tomorrow promised. So I'm a big believer in that. And also I think if you're worried, if it's a financial thing where you're nervous about, the submittable fee or whatever, I think that's something where you can straight up email people and be like, hey, is this going to be reimbursable if this is canceled? And just anything that I think the biggest thing is being safe, but, not making excuses to not share your work. But yeah, whether that's, coming up with something creative and having your own little showing or still going and putting it out there. That's kind of my take.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't have a feature this year or anything like that, but I think we're submitting more this year than we have in the past, because I think that sometimes when things aren't normal, it's like the best time to jump in and show off what you're doing, because maybe other people didn't, or maybe different people will be looking differently at your work than they would have if everything had been normal. So I think I wouldn't spend, I wouldn't take your food money and spend it on submitting films to film festivals, but I wouldn't cut it out because I think that, the last thing you want to do is just kind of curl up in a ball and hide for the next, 6 months or a year or whatever. I'll also say that a lot of film festivals, I've been seeing several posts that they're reducing their fees, they're extending their deadlines. I saw one last night say, if the fee to enter is a problem for you, send us a private message and we'll work it out. And you get to keep in mind too that these film festivals, film festivals aren't anything without the filmmakers, and they know that, and we need to work with them to help kind of continue that part of our industry's economy. So I would encourage people to still submit to the festivals for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Louise, do you want to, our Can-Can's executive director, she also helps program a film festival. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. I am assistant programming director for Crested Butte Film Festival in Colorado. And like Abby on this call, we both go pretty way back on programming for various festivals. So I can tell you from the inside, Crested Butte is a fall film festival, and they've already decided to go virtual just based on how Colorado is projecting the infection rates. That has not changed anything with our programming decisions. We plan to program as normal. I would say our submissions are down a little bit, but I would say the quality is up. So that's interesting. So maybe people just aren't trying. So if you've got good work, I would encourage you to consider submitting. The advantage that I see of all these festivals going virtual is the wider audience. The Crested Butte Film Festival is obviously a mountain town. It attracts a certain audience, yada, yada, yada. It's going to go virtual. People all over the world now can, buy a pass or whatever and watch this festival where they couldn't. And so repeat that over all these other festivals going virtual. I think it actually will be a bigger a bigger venue from which to display your work. So if it really depends upon what the goal is for your film, what you want it to do. If you want the eyeballs and the diversity of people who are going to see your film, which is now wider in a virtual festival, potentially wider, I would do that. If your goal is just to get it out there and get people looking at it, then just throw it up, on Vimeo or whatever or YouTube is a free link. So it all really comes down to what your end goal is. But I would encourage you to consider film festivals and realize that there are actually probably opportunities for increased exposure in this virtual world. And I think so many festivals are going virtual, and thankfully a lot of the ticketing platforms and other platforms are helping these festivals get there. So technologically, it's being worked out pretty quickly. So hope that answers some questions.
Yeah, thank you guys. I know and maybe there's some nice middle ground too of submitting. Like if you want to do maybe a very quick premiere, you could do a one-time kind of live event like what Kaitlyn did, where it's on Facebook, so you can kind of get your big fans to see it, but then still also submit. I think there's a great middle ground there, and make sure you always work with the film festival to see if you're still eligible if you do something like that. But I think there's some great opportunities there for showing it to your biggest fans, but then also submitting to film festivals. And yeah, I feel like, and there's a lot of, like Kaitlyn, you said, there's a lot of individuals who, like, you didn't get a ton of people to watch it, but hopefully it's quality over quantity right now, because we are getting pulled. It's kind of insane. We're all stuck at home, but we're all being pulled in so many directions, even still with being stuck at home. So just remembering that. Yeah, is there any other questions we have for our panels, or just anybody? Well, if not, I will keep things moving. I just want to say thank you guys all for joining. This has been pretty awesome. Hopefully, maybe we can do this again with a whole new round. If you guys do have specific questions you would like to be maybe addressed, we can kind of curate a panel on that. Please reach out to me specifically. It's just Daniel at CanCanIndie. The invite should have came from me directly, so just email me whenever you would like. And also, if you guys go to cancanindie.com, we have a newsletter that you can sign up for. You get it every Thursday, so you can follow events like this, kind of see what we've been doing. We have an on-demand currently, so we're slated to open. You guys probably, a lot of you know this, we're slated to open end of March, but we had to postpone all soft opens. A lot of you guys were even invited to those. But we've luckily been able to pivot digitally for a lot of this stuff, because independent distributors have been dropping things for us. So on the on-demand section of CanCan, there's paid content, which we get part of the proceeds, but there's also free content. We have a short of the week. We've been trying to promote some of your guys' local work on top of, feature-length stuff. So please reach out to any of us at CanCan. We want to be a support and resource. We want to bring you guys together during this time, because I know it's hard for everybody. But I know we will make it through this. So yeah, I think that's it. Thanks, Rocky, Kaitlyn, Jake. Keep fighting the good fight out there. Thank you for joining us. And I miss all of your faces in the real world, since we don't all get together. But thank you guys all. Please reach out if there's anything you guys need.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, Daniel, can I just throw in one last comment? We thought this would be a great kickoff for what we hope will be a series of just filmmaker or people interested in filmmaking inspired sessions, just on different aspects with regard to the craft and the field of filmmaking. So we're pulling together a calendar of that, and we'd love any thoughts that you guys have of just sort of topics that you'd like to cover. We thought it'd be great to start with a town hall like this. So, one of our mission is supporting all of the local filmmaking community. And so we're doing this virtually until we can open and welcome you all in person. So if you guys have any thoughts or things that you'd like to talk about or learn more about going forward, we'd love your input. So get in touch. Thanks.
Keep making good work, guys.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, Daniel. Love you, Daniel.
Hey, Brandon. See you guys later.
Bye, everybody.